Ferretti Yachts specialise in building high-quality, high-volume Flybridge motor yachts, but in recent years they've also been adding a significant dash of style and sportiness to their designs. And behind me here is their very latest 800, which I think is its best interpretation yet. So let's go and have a proper look and I'll show you everything there is to see. My name is Hugo Andre, you're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go and tour it. The exterior styling of the new 800 is the work of Filippo Salvetti, a very well-known Italian naval architect and designer. And you can see it is really smart, fluid lines. There's a much sportier aesthetic than it used to have perhaps maybe 10 years ago. But look at some of the sort of detailing going on here. We've got great big hull windows leading all the way up to the bow, dip down here, creating an even bigger window, presumably for the master cabin. We've got some very smart looking details and sort of surfacing going on here. Notice these are sort of gloss black rather than the usual stainless steel, picking up on the colour of the windows and the Flybridge mouldings. There's just a lot more detail and sophistication than there might have been. Even things like these Flybridge supports, you'll notice that they're lifted slightly off the deck there and they've got glass inserts in them. The whole profile of it looks really smart, really sporty. Just a significant change of direction. I think it's really paying off for them. Now, let's start the tour at the stern here. You can see we've got a big hydraulic blading platform. That slides down at a slope to reveal steps down to it. Obviously, you can put your tender on there too. It's nice to see that they've added this folding bench here too. It's not quite a full beach club effect, but it does just mean that there's somewhere to sit down facing out to sea while you have a drink. There's even a rather clever secret storage space behind the back seat of this bench. It just folds down electronically and there's room for a bit of cleaning gear, hoses, covers, whatever it may be, but quite clever to hide that behind such a stylish feature. It turns out that's not the only secret compartment. Behind these panels here, if you open them up, there is in fact room for a sea bob storage. So it's not fitted to this one. You can see we've just got a couple of boat hooks, but there is room to put a mounting there. You can put a sea bob on that side and exactly the same over on this side. So you've got a full arsenal of toys as well as this rather stylish bench seat. So before we head up into the boat, quite nice to notice that this has got a sort of glass transom through there. Again, just letting it a bit of light through, opening things up, keeping things a little bit brighter than they might otherwise be. But what they've done so well is integrate the really sort of practical features with a very stylish looking boat. Very smart gates up the staircases on both sides. Good sized dinette. Notice that the Flybridge overhang stretches all the way out over it, providing plenty of shade and shelter. And look at how they've done things like the mooring gear. Really heavy duty mouldings, and one thing Ferretti have always done so well is that everything just feels really chunky, really solid and beautifully finished. But just a nice touch to make sure you've got full access to all of them, but then once you're sorted, you can put the lid down, hide it all away. Under this one, we've got the third docking station, so when you're mooring stern to in the Mediterranean, you've got really good view and access as you back onto the quay. Over on this side, exactly the same solution for the mooring gear, but under here you've got a sink, so if you need to wash your hands after dealing with dirty lines or whatever. We've got access through both sides on a gate. This section here can easily be kitted out as a wet bar. I don't think it's fitted on this one, but you can have a fridge and an ice maker in there. Lovely walk around decks. You'll notice that these are those glass panels that I talked to you about with the Ferretti logo inset in it. And just little things like the way that they've tucked the fueling and water supplies out of sight. You see, that is where you fill up with diesel, but all hidden behind a very smart little flush fitting panel. It's exactly the same on the other side. If we go round here, similar panels. This one is for water and freshwater and black water waste tanks. Here are those smart black railings, but having it opened up like this just means you get a better view from inside. All things like the size and chunkiness of this teak. Just look at some of the finishing on there. Really high quality. Up here on the foredeck, there's a lovely extra lounge area. There's storage under all of these seats. In fact, there's a life raft tucked under this one on both sides. So again, really good position. It means it's nice and easily accessible from the main deck if you ever do need to use it, but you'd never know they were there, all tucked away. Emergency access from the VIP cabin, but looks just like a really smart deck locker. Lovely sunbeds here. All the stern gear, mooring gear. Just look at the size and quality of this. We've got twin anchors, fairly rare on a 80-foot boat, particularly a kind of smart, stylish Flybridge cruiser like this rather than a trawler yacht. But that's the kind of engineering input that they give. It's not just about style, it's also about a really solid, practical boat. Big chain locker in there, you can get a couple of fenders in there, but there's also more storage under here too for things like covers and fenders. Quite a distinctive feature on here, the way they've cut away under the windscreen. It was something that Riva have been doing for a while, and Ferretti and Riva are both part of the same group, so perhaps that's no surprise they've started to adopt some of these little features. Side door into the saloon, we'll take a look at that from the inside, but first let's pop up to the Flybridge. Obviously a key part of a boat like this, and again, lovely big staircase, nice and wide, good chunky steps, really nice square moulding on there, all beautifully painted. Step up onto the Flybridge, every bit as big as you would expect. Love these designer sunbeds. Just looks so cool having freestanding teak sun loungers rather than sort of built-in mouldings and a cushion. All very sort of Italian designer style, little movable armrests there. On this side we've got the poles and the sun awning, so you can erect a sun awning that comes all the way from the back end of that hardtop right back here to the transom, so that you can add a bit more shade if you want to. But really, that looks like a pretty ideal place to take a bit of sun. Large dining table. On a boat like this, most people end up eating outside most of the time. So you do want a really good sized dining table to make sure you can seat all your guests around here. Very comfortable sofa seat on this side, stylish freestanding director's chairs on this side. Much the same over here, big bar area, but very cool sort of designer stools you can sit at and enjoy your espresso martini of an evening or whatever that may happen to be. Very sort of chilled out, informal seating, lounging area here, just about wide enough to lie on if you want to. You can certainly lie long lengthways, but really deep, soft sort of chill out zone right next to the helm. So if it is an owner operator, and you absolutely could have an owner operator for this boat, just means you can sit alongside, chat to them whilst you're underway. And of course, because there is that little windscreen down there, you could lie on here and still be out of the wind when you're moving along. Even things like the support for this roof, just so stylish, having a little V-shaped, could just be a simple couple of stainless steel poles, but no, they just go the extra mile. Classic Ferretti steering wheel. Nice clear layout. Now this is a shaft drive boat, but you'll notice it has got the centre joystick controls, so you can still link the two engines, the steering and the thrusters, and just park the boat however you want to, just using this one stick alone. Super stylish helm chairs. Very comfortable, good deep cushions. It's not a particularly sporty boat, so this is more about comfort than speed. Here is that wet bar. Just a couple of nice little practical touches here too. This, for instance, is the cover for the sink, but A lot of the time there's nowhere to put the cover. Here they've thought about it, the cover just slides into that smart little teak holder there. Got a big grill and so on under here. All the usual fridges. Plenty of space to mix your drinks over here, big sink, ice maker under there. But probably the most stylish and clever thing is how this roof works. The really clever thing about this roof is that it also opens up in two different ways. So you can either tilt the louvres up like this, or open the whole thing and they all stack up very neatly at the back. That's really clever. I haven't seen one work as well as that before. That's very, very smart. Right, let's move back down to the main deck and get to have a look inside. Now, a couple of things to notice here. You can see we've got access to the crew cabin. We'll check that out in a minute. But under these gratings here, that is emergency access to the engine room. So you've got access to the engine room through there as well as through the crew cabin. And then moving through into the saloon, big sliding glass doors. Now, the interior of this boat is by Idea Italia, another very well-known Italian design house. And they've picked up on that slightly more informal theme. And a really nice contrasts of colours and mixes of different textures and so on going on here. You notice you've got this sort of soft leather on here, slightly more fabric-y finish here, lovely stone surface on top of there. And very relaxed, chilled out sofas. Note how deep those are. So when you're sitting on them, you're sort of sprawled backwards on them. You're not sitting bolt upright or looking too formal. And yet the overall effect is really smart and stylish, but somehow relaxing too. Big dining area here. All about the big windows. Not quite floor to ceiling, but you can get an impression. Great views through, and there's those cutaway bulwarks, ensures that that doesn't block the view either. Over on this side, there's that sliding side door. It's much more than a door, really. It's kind of almost like a, well, it's not a terrace because nothing folds, but it's not just a door. It is a really big opening that lets plenty of fresh air in. Very stylish sort of connection with the galley too. You'll notice that there is a mirror here, so you can slide it across and keep it separate and private if you have got a fully crewed boat. If you're an owner-operator, you can slide it open, and then you've got a lovely serving hatch and a freer communication with everybody in the saloon and dining area. Lots of storage for all the dining kit behind here. Beautifully done, all fiddled. Lots of sliding drawers for all the cutlery and so on under there. They don't miss a trick. It all looks very smart, but also surprisingly practical. Nice little curves in the bulkhead here. Also nice to see there is a day heads. On a big boat like this, where you've got a lot of day guests, you don't really want them running down through the cabins to use the ensuite facilities. Much better to have a dedicated day heads. Here's the galley area. Again, can be used either as a crewed boat or an owner-operator, so you have got access to the side deck from here, meaning crew can come and go without having to go through the main saloon. American-style fridge freezer. Big oven stretching all the way under there. This is that serving hatch that I showed you from the other side. Works brilliantly, just means you can serve food directly through here with a nice sort of pantry area where you can prepare food, plates, etc. Sink over here. Lots of big storage, and the headroom here is absolutely enormous. That's got to be 9 feet. Absolutely huge. Now, there is double access from here, so you can go straight through into the bridge area, or on this side, takes you down into the lower deck and all the accommodation, but also secondary access up here. So a really nice, easy flow around the boat. Now, this can be a crewed area or an owner-operator, so very good setup here. We've got 3 big screens. Now I must admit that there is limited view back. We've got these quite big mullions along the sides and fairly narrow little windows, and that is probably one of the compromises of having that more sort of stylish, sporty exterior profile. But you do get a decent view forward, relatively deep windscreen, even though it's quite heavily raked. It does have a pretty good view out forwards. Fantastic 3 big screens set up so you can have your charts on one, your radar on the other, and maybe a camera on one of the boats looking backwards or keeping an eye on guests. Very quick access, so you can see you've got little alarms for bilge alarms, blowers, navigation lights, bow thrusters. You can see it all at a very quick glance without having to scroll through different menus. And I love the fact that there's this little companion seating area next to the helm. So if it's a crewed boat, your crew could sit here alongside you. If it's an owner-operator, you could have friends, partners, whatever, also along for the ride. Now, dropping down into the accommodation, very smart, almost sort of semi-hidden, these handrails, but there are handrails all the way down. Nice wide staircase. And then as you come down, we turn left or aft into the main cabin. As usual, it is a full beam master amidships. And there's yet more of that nice sort of play between different colours and surfaces and so on. Exactly the same down here. We've got suede, we've got leather, we've got fabric. Really smartly done. The TV is hidden in this bulkhead here. You can turn that off and it's just a mirror, or you can have it as a piece of artwork, which is set up for at the moment. Over on this side, we've got a kind of vanity desk area, so you can use it as a desk or you can lift that up. You've got a mirror for makeup and so on. Nice little suede inserts. Even little design flourishes like this with that leather wraparound just gives it a touch of extra sophistication. Obviously an ensuite bathroom. Lots of nice marble finishes in here. Plenty of space. It's not a full beam bathroom, but it's an unusually wide one actually. This gap here is often that much wider than you get in boats like this, which usually tend to be a little bit like a long, thin corridor. That means you've got a very generous shower compartment in there, all completely surrounded in that lovely marble. Loo and bidet. And then moving forward, this is the corridor leading up. You'll notice there are a couple of steps up along this corridor. I think the storage behind here, I don't touch it because it's mirrored. I'm going to leave paw prints on that, so I'm just going to assume that is storage. Let's go, well, let's make our way through. First, guest cabin over on the port side, twin beds, plenty of headroom in here. You can probably see in the mirror, plenty of clearance over my head. Got the blinds down. Even things like that, rather nice touch. It's very clearly a sort of natural fabric that filters a bit of light, but provides privacy too. All ensuite bathrooms, more of that nice marble. Nothing particularly special to comment on in there. Have got a TV behind the door. Progressing further on the starboard side, got another lovely twin cabin, much the same as the previous one. Good headroom all round, good storage behind all of these. Another ensuite bathroom. Very smart. And then come back out again. And then forward into the VIP. And this is a really good size for a VIP cabin. You'll notice we've got this sort of walkway into it, provides a bit of a grand entrance. Lovely big bed, island berth, wraparound leather headboard. More of these lovely sort of natural linen fabrics in the blinds, but plenty of light coming into here. Even the detailing overhead and the deck head, you know, these lovely fabric panels provide a bit of contrast with the darker wood. Lots of good storage all around here. Smart little trays alongside the bed. I'm sure there's more storage behind these wooden locker doors. I like the fact that they've left a little recess behind there too if you want to store bits and pieces. Another one of these bedside tables for putting your watch overnight. And of course, ensuite bathroom, this one over on the port side. Obviously not quite as spacious as the master, but still a very good size. Smart corner shower unit. Big overhead rain shower head for that. Very beautifully done. This is the main access down to the crew area and access to the engines. Relatively steep staircase, but far better than the ladder. And this is pretty well fitted out as well. Obviously it's not a huge amount of space, but we've got one cabin in here. That is a single. It looks like a bunk. It's not actually a bunk. It just means that there's storage, or might even be ship systems underneath the bed. But bed up at that level. Full electrics panel. All the breaker switches down here too. Nice bit of soft carpeting underfoot. Looks like there's a little fridge down there. Keep a few cool drinks on hand. Second crew cabin in here, much the same, relatively tall bed, bit of storage underneath it. Also got the washer dryer down here. We have a big storage cupboard behind here and bathroom in there. So it's a shared bathroom, but there is a separate shower unit. Not a lot of natural light down here. Designs with the cabins. Yeah, this cabin has a porthole, so you do get a bit of natural light and ventilation. And then access into the engine room is via this. As if I twist that handle, feels like a very secure, it's one of those sort of bank vault style opening mechanisms. And here is the engine room, and another very good example of how well Ferretti do the basics. Two big man V12 engines. You can have either 1550 or 1800 horsepower. That will give you a top speed of 27 to 31 knots depending which size engine you go for. Beautifully lit, very nearly standing headroom. It's a little bit less than 6 foot. I'm having to crouch just a tiny bit. Generators on either side. Great big exhausts, all very nice and clean and clear with space to move around. A water maker over here. Looks like hydraulics over there. Checker plate flooring underfoot. Big fans helping to ventilate it, keep it cool, make sure there's enough air to feed those big engines. Very nice, clean, well-lit space for crew to work in. Let's finish up this tour of the new Ferretti Yachts 800, sitting here on this lovely aft bench on the bathing platform. Now, Ferretti are always very coy about their pricing, and I'm not yet sure what this is going to cost. Certainly, it's not going to be one of the cheaper brands. But what has impressed me about this boat is that they've managed to retain all those things that appeal to traditional existing Ferretti yacht owners. You've got that really solid build quality, that engineering integrity, lots of clever practical touches, but now with a much bigger dose of added Italian designer flair, which should hopefully draw in a new crowd. So do let me know what you make of it. I'd love to read your comments, and thank you as always for watching.